Hi, this is Team Red's presentation on our turn-based strategy game, Territory Strike. The game will be viewed in a top-down perspective, which will be displayed in a steampunk environment. As previously mentioned, our game is a turn-based strategy game, but in Territory Strike, players should look to weaken and confuse the enemy instead of outright attacking them. So instead of brute force, which is still an option, the player has the option to incorporate the deadly environments and traps into their strategy, really putting emphasis on strategy. The player's goals will be to grow their land and ensure their power is greater than the opponent. Collecting resources and obstructing the opposing side will aid in accomplishing this. When the match first starts, the map is randomized with resources and environment deterrents, such as something called the Fog of War. The map will be presented to the player from bird's eye view with simple scroll capabilities, allowing the player to watch over their empire and immediate threats. The end goal of the game is to dominate the majority of the map by the time the match concludes, and ends when all match turns have been exhausted. Players will also want to capture high resource areas to ensure longer lasting empires. During matches, players will be notified of new high resource areas that just spawned, which will influence new dynamics to player strategy. Our Fog of War mechanic causes fog to roll in at random times, which will cause the players to not easily recognize each other. Our AI settlement mechanic will host all environment features that can interact with the player. It is used to confuse players about whether they are or aren't controlled by NPCs, as well as give the player the choice to engage in a high-risk reward battle. Our resource mechanic, once captured, grants abilities to buff your own towns or debuff enemy towns. Some examples of these resources include radiation, which can be used to create toxic zones, money, used to purchase resources from non-aggressive AI settlements, and craft resources to help build empire. Antagonizing forces will come from direct confrontation from the AI or either an opposing player. An environment attack example would be considered our Fog of War. Each player must discover the map to remove the Fog of War. Attacking or debuffing a settlement has its disadvantages because if they are AI, they will become aggressive, whereas buffing them causes them to be friendly. The issue with buffing is that it may be a player pretending to be an AI. We drew inspiration from Battle of Westnoth and Civilization. Much like the two, players move on hexagonal grids and capture areas of interest. Our combat is a reminiscence of Westnoth, and our resource gathering is similar to Civilization. The differences lie in how players engage in combat through the resources and the end goal of hindering the opposing player and stopping their revenue. Some examples of our debuffs are slowed movement, ultimately slowing a player's ability to grow their empire. Another one is altering players' income of resources, and environmental land traps, which will be randomly generated at the start of the match. Our development risks come down to the desired balance while incorporating the debuffs. We will mitigate this by using a fulcrum system to test against both the players and the AI. Another risk would be calculating the frequency and payout of specific resources, so we plan on limiting the resources, forcing players to explore. This will aid us in incorporating our calculations into an error-free system. A third risk will be a high complexity level of our AI. To best accomplish our desired level, we will include a dynamic difficulty system. We believe that diminishing these three risks will cause the already simplistic turn-based strategy game to be more engaging.